And hey guys, Dan Robbins here, talking about lead generation, how to initiate it, how to cultivate leads. And it's really about relationships. A big part of it is about relationships in real estate. How do you engage and your sphere of influence? And how do you engage that sphere of influence? So there's some interchangeable words here like database, sphere of influence, whatever you want to call it. They're the same thing to me, the sphere of influence in the database. And it's about understanding your sphere of influence and then organizing it into a organizing it into a database that you can communicate to regularly with updates, videos, and whatever else you have going on. So we're going to jump right in. There's two I did not invent these quotes, and I don't know who these quotes these are, but they've always stuck with me. One is work like a hunter, think like a farmer. Okay. So you're constantly every day, you're making the calls, you're prospecting, you're going to your network events with a message in mind, whatever that message is for you and how you want to communicate, which we'll get into a little bit. And and engaging in the community in a way that's one-on-one, that's with groups, so that you become noticed locally. And then the other one is real, but all of this hunting activity, where you're proactively going out and meeting people, you're not necessarily going to meet people, buyers and sellers, and close deals. That will happen from time to time. But what you're trying to do is add people to your network and your sphere of influence so you can stay engaged with them so that when they're engaged in their circles at whatever events they're at, they think of you and you're front of mind whenever real estate comes up. And that's the whole thing here. Don't think about your job as harvesting buyers and sellers. Rather, think about your job as harvesting spheres of influence. And if you think along those lines, your business will grow in a more rapid pace. And then real estate sales is a contact sport. I always like that one. Like you have to be engaged, digitally, in person, on the phone. It's a constant go around of initiating new business and facilitating the business you have. We're going to talk a lot about initiating business today versus facilitation. But a lot of times what happens to agents, and everybody knows this, maybe I'll repeat it anyway, is that they get busy in their sphere of influence, and then all of a sudden they're showing houses. Maybe they get lucky early on, they get a listing, and then they're absorbed in the facilitation of their business. So the initiation atrophies because they're so focused on the facilitation. And then what happens ultimately is they close those two or three transactions that came through their sphere, their initial sphere, and then they run out. And then there's this lull of no activity. We all experience that from time to time. But if you go about staying in touch with your sphere constantly and daily in an organized way, you're going to have less lulls and more consistent closing opportunities over time. And this is the simple, doable things that I do a lot of these every day. Some of these things I'm working on and more acutely now than I ever have before, and I'll get into them too. Top agents still get most of their business from referrals and spheres of influence. So it's very, very important. Roughly half or more closed deals come from people they already know. That's definitely the category I fall into. I think that that's a shift that happens over your career. Early on, you're focused on your SOI, but you're also trying to increase your network and meet new people as fast as you can to add them to your sphere of influence. So, but as you get more experienced and your network grows and your reputation grows, then that inbound, referrals and repeat business starts, gathering up, and it becomes a much bigger percentage of your business. Like in my world, over 95% of my business is through repeat and referral. But early on in my career, it was not the case. And I wish someone gave me this outline when I was early on in my career, although it's changed so much over the last 24 years anyway. Um, in any case, community counts. Join and engage local chamber of commerce, HBA, which is the Home Builders Association. networking groups, religious affiliations, athletic associations, school organizations. I can't tell you how much business I've driven through my children, my two daughters and their school and the parents and like all that, just be engaged in that world in a meaningful way. And, business will come to you. Remember, people like to work with people they trust, but they like to work with people they like as well, right? So obviously being friendly is part of sales, but like engage in a meaningful way and give people meaningful value, whether it's real estate related or whether, you know, one of my agents was helping a woman with her children and her groceries at a shop, right? And then saw her again and helped her twice within like several weeks, and ended up listing her house for $900,000 a couple months later, just from being that go-giver mentality of helping where help is needed. If you give to the world gives back. And I believe that to be true 100%. Um, Online lead to appointment is very low. You're in the single digits percentage rate when you're converting those leads. Um, so you have to act very, very, very fast. And no matter how fast you are, and no matter how experienced you are, maybe if you're inexperienced, you're in that 3 to 5%, but even experienced agents, it's hard to break through that 10% conversion for online leads. But responding to them very, very quickly is an essential in order to capture them. Listings with video 3D tours. We just did one of these for our listing that went under contract yesterday, actually, in my hometown. We had I think we had like 2,000 views of that video or something. Videos are key, okay? And all I do is I have my videographer. And now I have a weekly appointment with my videographer. That's how important videos are. I'm going to start taking videos, and then so I have a videographer. She meets me wherever I am, and it might be going and getting coffee, or it might be whatever the case may be. Sometimes it's at a house where she's also my photographer, so she'll do a little video of me introducing the house, and then she'll just go right into the house. Like, you're not in the video the whole time, you're just kind of introducing the house and then walking in. I can send a link of that video to you guys if you want to see it. But they're super effective, and I have 3 follow-up calls today from, even though the house is under contract, from clients that I don't know, but they came through and they saw that video. And I have 2 Zooms and a call set up today just from marketing that listing in that way. So you can also, if you're a buyer's agent, you don't have listings yet, maybe you're early enough on your career where you're not quite there. You can video yourself. You can video when you're going to show a house. Take a video when you're or whatever you're doing. It doesn't even have to be real estate related. It just has to be something that you think will gain traction in the social media world. Social media favors video over everything else. So it gets more exposure on Facebook and Instagram if there's a video component. Um, this is really important. SMS, so text messaging, right? Opens and responses crush email for quick contact. Like, it destroys email as far as reciprocal correspondence, to the tune of like 5 to 6x as far as much more effective it is than email. And in my opinion, more effective than even a phone call, because you can leave a message for someone, a voicemail, and yeah, they may or may not call you back. But when you text someone, it's almost the reciprocation on it is much, much higher in my opinion. And I don't know the actual statistic for that, but I know statistically it crushes email. And if you want the hard stats, there's links here for you guys. So I'll make sure Kristen gets this, and then you guys can get it so you can click on these links. There's so much information in the world, but everybody knows NAR, Zillow, and Realtor.com, and they provide a lot of information that you can use when you're trying to set up your plans for growth. So do this first, your database, your SOI, same thing. Database and SOI, think of them the same thing. Who's in your database? Anybody that you have their name and their email address, right? Like put them in your database. And then you want to organize them because you're going to find that there are certain people that turn into these amazing wait, I got some questions. Do you blah, blah, blah. We cannot advertise a house that is not listed by EXP. How do you introduce a house in the video? Um, yes, so you can when you're showing a house, you can show that you're showing the house. I don't think that maybe that's a question for the brokers of the world. I am a broker, but I'm not a broker of record anymore.
Now you're
So
right
I
on
don't
that one.
know.
Yeah.
Does anybody else know the answer to that question?
Yeah, I do. We had a broker Baxter here in Virginia. You have to have written permission to put
Written
anything out
permission.
there because
Okay,
you don't have a contract with that person out of EXP. Only that
got it.
realtor does. So there needs to be written permission, but she says as a practice, don't do it.
Right. Okay, there you go. Um, so as a practice, don't do it. Does that hurt? Does that stop you from saying, "Hey, I'm in the borough of Westchester or wherever you are," and saying, "Get ready to show houses for my client. We're seeing like 5 houses today." So it doesn't have to be a specific house. It just has to be you engaged in your community and you doing your job. Like for me, it doesn't necessarily have to be a specific house. I do see agents do that, but maybe they are getting written permission for that. So there you go. Um, and then let's see. Do you paid ads on social media? Yes, I do paid ads on social media for listings that I have coming up. So we do the video, and when we're coming soon, I'm pushing that out as much as possible leading up to our first open house. So for all of my listings, I do professional video and photography. And then I'm now made it mandatory that I'm in it and I'm not in everyone. It's like this process I'm working on. Um, and then when we're in coming soon status, so we don't have showings yet. I'm pushing that out on social media and I do pay for ads. Um, and then what I do is I line up the open house becomes the first time buyers are able to go through the house as well. So this past Saturday, we had two open houses from 12 to 2 at two different houses. Um, and it was the first time any buyers could get through the house. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want as many people in that house as possible. And I don't make them 3 hours, I make them 2 hours. I truncate it intentionally, not because I'm lazy, because I'm forcing multiple people to be in the house at the same time to raise the urgency level. And this is exactly what I'm saying to my sellers when I'm at the listing appointment. Do you think that's an effective thing to say to a seller when you're trying to win a listing? Okay. We're going to do all this advertising. We're going to be on social media and we're not going to allow any showings until this little 2 hour window where we're going to drive as much traffic through the house. We had 54 people come through one of our listings at the open house because we drove all the traffic and we ended up multiple offers. It's going to be crazy. So it is crazy. We ended up 75,000 over asking on a 550 house. So pretty incredible. Um, but that's my system, right? That's how I handle listings. But ultimately, what happens from that outreach is that all of your sphere sees you listing this house. New people that you don't even know see you listing it. So it's like this, it's all this energy's formed around it. And then you have people reaching out that, oh, I saw you on that video. It creates like this dialogue that wouldn't exist otherwise. Does that make sense? And then you're following up and like your friends are teasing you and like there's these text chains that are rolling out there, like, making fun of you or like saying, oh, that's a cute house or I love the video. You get a bunch of hearts and stuff on Instagram and whatnot. But the point is that you're getting this dialogue in a lot of different directions when you post those videos. And also for like my favorite coffee shop, in town in Westchester. We just did a video. I don't know how it's going to happen. So I have a videographer, photographer, but then I also have a marketing person. Her name's Annie. So when I get the videos, I send them over to Annie, and Annie edits the videos and gets them all squared away. And then sometimes she'll do her own voiceovers if she thinks it's necessary. These are this team that I built took years to get together, but these are the things you need to start thinking about. You need good people that know what they're doing. Annie's a marketing expert. She knows how social media works. So she's going to get those videos out. She knows what I trust her eye as far as, what looks too corny or what doesn't look corny enough, maybe. Like one time I did a video recently and she was like, that looks so rehearsed. I'm not going to use it. She was like, try to be more natural, try to be yourself more. Like, don't go in there with a script. Just like, you know what you're doing, just say it. And then the next time I did, she was like, you nailed that one, that's great. And then she pushed it out. So you need good people to check and balance you as you're working through this process. Um, so only show until you have an open house. That's correct. Yeah, all of my like we block showings until the open house starts. All right. And then typically we have our first open house on Saturday. And then we might have a second one on Sunday. And then in this market, usually we're under agreement by Monday or Tuesday, depending on the listing. All right. I'm going to keep this little chat bar over here so it's up and I can see questions. Your database sphere of influence starts with your, with me, it started with my cell phone, right? And you convert all of your contacts into a CSV file, comma separated values file, and then you upload that to a CRM. And EXP has 3 CRMs. I listed some of them here, but these are all good CRMs that people use in our industry. And then you want to separate your people to past clients, lead, investor, vendor. You need to separate this out, and this takes time. Okay. And this is work. And this is work that I need to do better. And this is work that's not just once, it's ongoing. I mean, the suggestion is the 6 to 8 hours up front, and then 3 to 5 hours per week in your database. I mean, raise your hand if you're spending 3 to 5 hours a week in your database, organizing it and make sure that, like, no, I'm not doing that. And I need to do a better job of it. And I think all of us need to do a better job of this. And it is heartbreaking when someone in your sphere of influence all of a sudden announces on Facebook that they just bought a house, or, hey, our house is coming to market. And you're sitting there like, oh my gosh, I know that person. Or worse, I helped them buy that house like 10 years ago. So it's a heart-wrenching feeling, and it's your fault. It's my fault, right? Because we didn't do a good enough job of letting them know. I remember, and on another topic, letting your sphere of influence know that you want their referrals and you need them to be thinking of you, right? How important it is. One of my best friends, his name is Pat. We were hanging out, drinking a beer, and he was like, "Hey, one of my buddies just bought a house that I work with." And I look at him, I was like, "One of your friends at work just bought a house?" And he was like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even think to connect you with him because it was my fault. It wasn't his fault. I didn't let him know that was important to me. This guy loves me. We've been friends forever. I just didn't do a good enough job of letting him know how important that was to me. That was years ago, but it's an example I use that we need to do the best job we can and making sure that everyone that cares about us knows how important it is that they think about us in real estate related conversations that happen in their lives. And the 6 degrees of separation says everyone in our country knows someone or has someone in their circle that is planning to move or do something real estate related, right? So therefore, it is critical that we stay in front of those people and let them know our services are there. Yeah, and readily, and the information. And you do that by providing value, and you do that through a quality CRM or phone calls, and we'll get into that in a second. Yeah, make sure you have consent for the SMS, email, follow-ups. But I kind of like ask for forgiveness of or permission on that. I'm guilty of that. So like sometimes people will say stop, and then I just remove them from everything. So just be on top of it. You don't want to harangue people. Ninja Selling is a fantastic real estate sales related book, and I highly suggest everyone read it. It has a ton of actionable information in it. A lot of what's here is derived from that book. But Larry Kendall, the author of that book, he suggests that for every individual in your database, you should be earning $1,000 a year, right? So if you have 100 people in your database, you should be making $100,000 a year, and then do the math. And then therefore, if you want to make $500,000 a year, you should have 500 quality people in your sphere of them, in your database slash sphere of influence. And that's what you should be working on. So if in a, our markets, we're running on like 50% in our county, we're running about 50% of number of transactions. It's increasing slightly this year, it seems like, but because more inventory is coming to market. So in a marketplace where there's just as many agents, but there's that fewer transactions, you need to increase your network, and you need to increase your database, and you need to increase your sphere of influence in order to capture the business you need to make a living. Brand and message, keep it simple, one line mission, one short slogan. Mine's always been client first, award-winning real estate broker kind of a thing. Like I'm always that, but you need to be careful about you tooting your own horn too much. And that's why referrals are so important. Referrals are 1,000. If someone, you saying something good about yourself is 1%, like, it's so less effective than someone else saying something good about you. And that's why referrals are so important. They're much more effective. So, you need to identify your marketplace too, so you're like doing the slogan, you're thinking about know thyself, right? Think about where you are in your life. If you're early on in your career, you're probably working with a lot of buyers. You want to focus on first time buyers. You want to focus on, maybe all the people that maybe don't know too much about the business, so you can help them where you can. And then you're going to be learning along the way. If you're a listing person, the sellers, investors, land developers, builders, wherever you're working on, focus on your messaging to that group. Like when I'm talking to builders and investors, they know that I'm likely going to bring them off-market land opportunities. That's why they're talking to me. That's why they're corresponding with me. Otherwise, they wouldn't bother. So, but the same is true for all segments of the marketplace. And then you want to use that voice everywhere. I mean, my in my signature, I think my slogan right now is your goals, our mission. Like that's your goals, our mission, and it's all about the client. I'm a very client focused person, client first all day long. And my clients know that, and they know that, and they feel that, and it makes them comfortable referring me to other, friends and family members and colleagues. You want to have brand, like there's some client first moves, neighborhood first advice, helping families make smart moves, you know, client first, all this stuff is important, but you want to hone in on a slogan that becomes part of your signature, so that's very, very important. I don't know if you guys have done that yet for yourselves, but you have to create a brand for yourself. And then this content creation is huge. The suggestion here, comes right from the Ninja Selling weekly market email, one video per week, which I am being very strict with myself about now. It took me a while to get there. 2 to 3 social media posts. There's pillars: market updates, neighborhood tours, how-to tips, client stories, local business features, testimonials. You want to pick 3 pillars they suggest and focus in on those pillars. Okay. So if you're doing like how-to tips and like if you're doing client stories, like pick 3 and then focus in on them. You can make one long video and chop it up into clips, reels, TikTok stories. Listen, I'm not as tech savvy enough. So I just have my videographer make videos and I send it to Annie, and then Annie handles all of that. But if you're doing that yourself, you have to educate yourself on that. And I can't help you there. But there are tools that I pulled, offline that can help you. And there's a list of them here. Canva, which is included in your EXP platform, Loom, Vidyard, Matterport for 3D videos, um, and then Google ads, Facebook ads, TikTok ads. All of these ads we use when we're pushing out a listing, but we also use it for two other things. One, we use for our off-market property, because I have an off-market property program that helps buyers find properties before they hit the open marketplace. Um, I push marketing out for that. And then we also have a pre-market price discovery program that's actually patent pending, and we push marketing out for that as well. So you have to kind of find your differentiation. Marketing is very much about separating yourself from the white noise of the marketplace. In Chester County, my county, there are 4,000 agents that do business in my county. Okay. So there's 4,000 agents. I think last year there was like 5,500 transactions. So if you do the math on that, it's like about 1.2 transactions per agent countywide. That's a horrible statistic, right? So now it's that 80-20 rule where 20% of the business are doing 20% of the agents are doing 80% of the business. You want to be in that 20%, right? And to be in that 20%, you need to differentiate yourself from the white noise of every other agent that's out there. In order to do that, you need to create messaging that separates yourself. In a low inventory market, we're pushing out our off-market property program to let buyers know that we're proactively trying to find houses for them before they hit the open market, right? In a marketplace where valuations are fluctuating and we're seeing some houses stick a little bit, some houses move really quick. Sellers have questions, right? They're like, oh, well, we created a price discovery program that's unique. It's unique, and here's why it's unique. So figure out what the market needs and then figure out your messaging and approach the market where it is. Does that make sense? This will differentiate you, and then you can create these marketing plans and these videos um, that will help. And we push these down. You can these videos, some of these videos, the PMPD and the off-market property program. I have videos on my website that you can go check out. Just to give you an idea. And I need to redo those videos because I hate them. But the message is still getting put out there, and that differentiating factor. Okay, first week. This is like where this is work, people. You are working. This is your life, right? This is how you make a living. Every day you're doing something. This is like from day one, export contacts, get them in your CRM, aim for 100, 200 names to start, and then build a weekly email template for market tips, join a local community organization. This is day one. So day one, create your CRM, build a weekly email template. Could be market tips, market updates, whatever the case may be, local information. And then join a local community organization, whether it be a chamber of commerce or some networking group, home builders association, somewhere where there's other people that you can meet that aren't yet in your sphere of influence. Okay. Day two, call 10 people from your sphere of influence. Use Ford. This is from Ninja Selling. Family, occupation, recreation, dreams. To be human. So, you don't want to just go right at real estate. You want to go at where people meet people where they are and get rapport. Remember, people work with who they like, number one. And then they want you to be an awesome professional, which we all are, right? They want you to be awesome at your job, but you're not even going to get that far if they don't like you, you know? And so you need to kind of get that rapport first, and then the business comes second. Share quick local market insight, and then try to schedule 2 face-to-face or video meetings out of your calls to your 10 people from your SOI. So what you're doing is you're calling people from your SOI, you're sharing a quick local market insight, right, with them after your Ford questions and after you gain that rapport, you share that insight. So you're bringing them value. And The Go Giver, which is a great book, I highly recommend it. It's a really short book too. You can read that overnight. Go Giver it's a great little book, but it's predicated on the fact where when you go and give something to the universe gives back. Okay. And there's truth to it, you know? And when you're meeting someone for coffee or meeting someone for lunch, or you're on the phone with them and you're like, and eventually it'll tie back into real estate. These conversations always do. Everybody's interested in real estate. They just don't want it shoved in their face all the time, right? So you come back and you're prepared, right? You're prepared. I went back, I think last year, I knew that the marketplace had increased um, in value in my area over the last 2 or 3 years. So much like every other area, right? There's been an inflation and appreciation. So I just went back like 2 or 3 years and I texted every buyer I worked with, hey, great decision by you buying that house because now it's worth X and you bought it at Y. So good job. Just a congratulations kind of a thing. And they loved it. It created like, and I sent these texts out to all my clients, and then they all responded like, "Oh, thanks, great, that's great, thanks so much." I think one, I connected with a lender because they were thinking about refinancing, and which gives you that ability to refer to your lenders, which causes other good things to happen. So you don't want to. Yeah, and what it does is it helped me engage, right? Um, in any case. Another good reason to reach out to people is to invite them to events. Like in my hometown, they have this thing called Porch Fest, where they have little bands on the porches in my section of the neighborhood. So this year we got a band on our front porch, and I invited everyone. I'm still inviting people. It's a great because the invite alone is giving, right? When you invite someone to someone, you're giving them something. Whether they show up or not, that that's secondary, right? The point is, I was able to reach out with something fun that's not real estate related, but they know who I am. They know what I do, and it keeps me front of mind to them. So those types of things and client appreciation events, which we're planning a client appreciation event now that we're going to have in June. Um, I try to do I try to do at least one a year, but my goal is to do 2 to 3 a year because every time I do a client appreciation event, I walk out with 3 or 4 deals in my pocket. Like it's just the natural thing. You are the center of whatever event that is, and the people that come, you're saying thank you to them, but also they want to talk to you. They want to connect with you because you're the host, right? And the host is always the center, and you always walk away from those with value. So there's a constant theme here. Call 10 people, call 10 people, call 10 people, call 10 people. Okay. I have talked and interviewed agents more productive than myself, and they're 20 calls a day. Like it is so tough. I have these two little jars here. I'll grab them for a second. Hold on. I have these two little jars, and there's 20 marbles in here. And I will make calls and move a marble over for every call I make. And this one day I did it, and I thought I just had the most productive day. And I came back into the office the next day, and there were 6 marbles moved over. I made 6 phone calls. Like it is a lot of energy to make those types of calls. But if you train yourself to do it, you're it's the top producers, I'm telling you, it's a very, very productive thing. And it leads to things. It leads to face to face. It leads to coffee. It leads to lunch. It leads to Popeye to go visit someone, right? And then you're following up with personal notes. Personal notes, another area where I am just not good at following through on, is one of the most effective ways top producers stay top of mind to their sphere of influence because they meet them and then they follow up with a personal, hey, great meeting, great having coffee with you. I really appreciated your time. And it's just a little cute card saying thanks for your time. That's it. And why aren't we doing it? It's so stupid and it's so cost effective and so meaningful to people. I have thank you cards. I have cards all over the place from people that send to me because I keep them. People keep them, and I always suggest that when you do it, I use when I do have the um, energy to do it and the discipline to do it. I use like these little like Van Gogh ones, like something interesting. because my goal is that I want people to get the card and then I want them to put it on their mantelpiece or I want them to put it on their refrigerator. And then I want, their neighbor to come over for coffee and be like, oh, that's a cute card. Where'd you get that? You know what I mean? I want in my head, I'm thinking of these things that happen. I don't know if they happen or not, but like that's what I'm thinking instead of just the generic, like, thank you one, like something that's a little bit interesting. Anyway, little,
There
little
you go,
tip
Dan.
there.
Here's one of your cards.
Yeah, there you go. That was my architectural door cards.
People hang on to them.
um, but where do you find someone handling social media? There are so many resources for social media. There's different ways to do it. My social media person is an old friend of mine, and she was my admin at one point in time. Then she was my partner, and she still is my partner in a tech startup we're doing together. But now she has a full-time position elsewhere, but she is our director of marketing for me in the DRD. It's the only marketing I think she does outside of her full-time occupation. But you really have to do research there, and maybe someone else from the group can weigh in. Um, but mine was kind of like a relationship that, she's like one of my oldest friends, and I rely on her heavily for, her opinion. And, it's not something I'm picky, having a hard time with finding someone that I like their style. I know. And more importantly, they have to like your style, right? And they have to not only even like it, they have to understand your style and understand what you're trying to achieve, you know? So I would say, Kim, be more focused on them understanding you than you understanding them, or than you liking them. Does that make sense?
It does, but the thing also that like I don't I sh like it doesn't come naturally to me, and I want somebody that is going to help me reach my goal, that is really going to get results and not just because I just feel like so many people put social media stuff out there and it's just honestly it's boring. Like it does not I could care less about it.
Yeah, and
It's
the
not
canned, the
informative.
canned, the canned social media stuff like that you just see all over the place.
Yeah.
I agree. It's not, and I don't think it's very effective. Like when I post a video of my dogs or me with my daughter, or like me doing these open house videos, there's a ton of traction activity. When you're like, Happy Cinco de Mayo, from like, no, it's like, no, it's no, it gets very little. You might get like 5 likes or something. Like it doesn't get anything. But if it's my dogs or my daughter, or like something with like a new listing coming up, it gets a huge amount of engagement.
Well, that's just it. Like I want professional because I want a certain image, but then I also want personal.
Yeah, there is yeah, exactly. So, and what you're talking about is, how does ninja sound? It's like science and art, right? There's the science and like, oh, this is what the marketplace and this is the data. These are the services we provide. That's the science. And then the art is, hey, these are my kids and this is me skiing and this is me like, I don't know, making mistakes and doing stupid things and like whatever the case may be. That's like the art and the heart of your marketing, right? And then the other is the science and the market updates and stuff like that. You'll find, or I have found, that I get way more traction in the art than the science. The science, people are like, oh, okay, really. I don't care about the
I,
market. Like I don't know.
I agree with you, Dan. Dan, so Kim, your last post on Facebook was amazing about your journey, and look at all the response you got on that.
Yeah, and that's more me that's more me. So
And that's what you should
I
continue to do.
well, thank you, Opus. So it just seems like it takes me forever. Like I feel like I'm just take too long to do this. I've got, just like everybody else on this call, our to-do list is a million tasks long. So
It is, and it's getting longer by the day for sure. There is a woman in one of my networking groups that does social media, and I met with her and I interviewed her, but I already had Annie, so I was like, I didn't, I was comfortable kind of where I was. Um, but I'll connect you with her if you want me to.
that'd be great. I'd love to
See if it's
talk to
good.
her.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
No problem. Um, But the main thing here, as we're going through this day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, and then day 7 rest, right? So like you got to take a break, right? Or no, maybe not in the spring market, but um, but you're keeping this engagement alive and consistent. You know what I mean? And you're being consistent and disciplined about how you're reaching out. And over time, you'll see those rewards come back. It's like it just works. And it works as you over time, people will come back, people will think of you, people will refer you, and you just keep going and going and going. Of course, you have to follow all this up with professional acumen and the what it takes to actually help the clients at the end of the day, right? Quick conversion tips, respond fast. You almost have to have an auto reply for the digital ones, because if you don't reply quickly, you know, they're gonna fall off the map. Um, you know, qualifying questions, all of us know timeline, motivation, buying, lending. First question is, are you working with a real estate agent? Because don't go down the rabbit hole too far if they're working with someone, right? Find that out first and then move into your qualifying questions. Um, and then offer to meet 15-minute video, 30 to 45-minute in-person meeting. You can use Zoom for that. Bring data in a plan. Like I have a home buyer's guide. I have a home seller's guide. If you don't have a home buyer's guide and a home seller's guide branded to you, get one. Okay. One that's digital that you can print out, but I hardly ever do anymore. I email them over with in Pennsylvania, we have a consumer notice that you have to disclose to all buyers and sellers. I send them that. I send them the home buyer or seller's guide, depending, or maybe both if they're selling and buying. And then I send them my bio, which is like my little short biography on myself. So if you don't have those things ready to go at any given moment, get them in your catalog. Did everybody get those 4? Whatever state disclosure you need, a home buyer's guide, a home seller's guide, and a bio on yourself. A short bio, don't make it too long. Should be 1 page at most. And it's about these daily habits, right? Outbound outreach, aim for 10 calls a day. Like I said, some top producers go 20. Content or video once a week. At least 1 video per week is what my goal is right now. CRM cleanup, 10 to 20 minutes a day for CRM cleanup. That's so tough for me to even follow, but it's effective. Video rules, hook in first 3 to 10 seconds. Captions are essential. So whoever's doing your videos, they can overlay like captions so people can read. Sometimes people look at videos with no volume on, so you want there to be like some words there. Be yourself, be natural, kind of went through that. Tools you might need, like the tripod. We have all this stuff in our office for our agents to use. But it's like that ring light with the tripod. You can put your phone in it. I don't know if you guys seen those. And then some helpful scripts. I'm not a big script guy. I'm more of like, this is the message I'm trying to get across, and then I just say it how I say it, if that makes sense. But knowing the data, this is what separates you. If someone, like I met a buyer for the first time at this high-end market on the main line, it's kind of outside of like 35 minutes away from my office. So it's not like directly in my local market. But before I went onto my MLS and I looked up the last 6 months sales, and I got for single family detached, and I had the average price per square foot. I had the average days on market. I had the average percentage over ask that the homes were selling for. Okay. So when I met them, my first time meeting them, we've had a lot of digital correspondence. I meet them and I'm like, boom, boom. They were like, what's the asking price here? I was like, oh, you know what? I don't even remember that off the top of my head. But I knew everything about that local marketplace. Nothing really about the house we were going to go look at, right? But point is, by the end of that, they felt very confident in my abilities to help them find a home in that location because they felt like it was my marketplace, even though it's really outside of my marketplace. Know details of information, and you should memorize certain details like average days on market and average price per square foot and average close price versus list price percentage, which in this market was 104%. So on the average, homes were selling 4% over ask. Very, very strong market for sellers. In any case, that's very meaningful information. And it will help differentiate you from every other agent out there just talking about how great the house is. My first line to buyers when I meet them is, I'm more likely to talk you out of a house than into a house, just so you know. I'm a red flags guy. I'm looking for things. My job is to protect your best interest. Now, first and foremost, because my business is through referral and repeat. And I set the stage for referral and repeat business at the first time I meet them. That's how I do business. It does two things. It disarms the buyer so that they feel like they're being looked after. And then it also puts the referral message in their mind really early on in the process. So that when they're in their universe, they're going to be thinking like, oh, if something pops up, we got to think of Dan because he works through referral. His business is predicated on referral, you know? So it's very important that those messages get put out there early, in my opinion. Sorry, we're running tight on time here because it's 9:49. I want to make sure. And then there's the resource link here. So we're going to send this out to all of you guys so you guys have it. Does anybody else? Oh, listen. Okay, so 30-day startup checklist. We already talked about the CRM. You got to get your mission line elevator pitch. You know, you're familiar with that term, elevator pitch. Imagine if you were in an elevator with a stranger and you started talking and it led to business. What are you saying to that person for them to remember you? That's an elevator pitch. The 3 content pillars we talked about. Plan a 30-day outreach calendar. Again, like make these plans and try to follow through with them. Consistency. Set up instant auto response for web leads. You have to do that for web leads or you're not going to be able to convert them as many. Your percentages are going to be almost zero if you can't reach out to them quickly. Make a neighborhood video and publish it. You can do this. Pick a neighborhood that you like, that maybe you sold a house in that wasn't even your listing. Maybe you represented a buyer in a neighborhood, but you really like that neighborhood and focus in and farm that neighborhood. Make a neighborhood video. Anytime, keep track of that neighborhood. Lots of times neighborhoods have like their own little their own little things happening. Like in my hometown, there's like a Save a Gazebo. There's a gazebo in one of the parks, and there's like a gazebo group. So I joined it. And I'm a member of whatever. It's like some historical gazebo we're trying to renovate, you know. But you want to be involved that way. And you want to, in a neighborhood, these neighborhoods have different things. They might have little Halloween parades. They might have little Christmas parades, even within their own neighborhood. You want to be a part of that if you can, to try to capture business in those neighborhoods. Farming is very important. Neighborhood farming, that is. Start tracking basic key performance indicators. This is something none of us do well, most likely. But the better you follow leads, appointments, listings, and closings and track that, the more more accurate your allocation for marketing will be. Okay? Because you'll be able to look at your historical sales and it'll be organized and you'll say, oh, wait. Like for me, I know 95% of my business is through referral and repeat. It's extremely important for me to keep reaching out to my database and my past clients. That is where all my business comes from. Like I spend a lot of time with client person. But if you're new to the business, your source might be open houses. I was just talking to this young guy I'm actually trying to bring over to EXP. He's in the process of doing 100 open houses in 100 days. It's like this program that he's on. I looked up his statistics. He's 20 years old. In the last 12 months, he's closed 41 transactions. He's 20 years old. He closed 41 deals in the last 12 months. I mean, is that insane? Do you imagine like the average, and it was a low average. He was probably he was in that 300 to 400,000 average in our area. That it's on the low side because he's working with first-time home buyers because he's doing all these open houses. He's doing 100 open houses in 100 days. What's he doing? He's working his tail off. That kid's probably putting in how many offers per buyer to win the deal? Probably on average 3 or 4 offers per buyer. for 41 deals, he probably put together 120 buyer packages to win, to land 41 sales. I mean, that is a ton of work. It makes me tired just thinking about it. Like, I mean, to me, but this is what he's doing because he knows he's new to the business. So we went right after the open houses, which is a great resource. And my point is, these are the things that we can be doing or revisiting. If you're experienced in your businesses, you know, maybe slowing down or you're not getting the traction you want, go work and you know what to do. Reach out, go to open houses, you know, join and become parts of your community and be involved and have a message about your business that's meaningful to you and meaningful to the world. Differentiate yourself from the white noise. Be the red dot in the white noise of your marketplace by differentiating your message. Okay. And videos. You have to do videos. And I have to do them. And trust me, I don't want to do them. But I'm learning how to do them and I'm training myself because where we are uncomfortable, we grow. Right. And I'm already kind of getting a little bit, I'm kind of getting excited about it now. I'm like, oh, I got another video coming up because every week I'm mapping them out. Like this is happening whether I like it or not. And if it's a horrible, just a stupid, dumb video, guess what? We don't need to use it, you know? Or maybe we use it and we say, look at this stupid video I made trying to, you know, maybe make fun of yourself. Self-deprecation, by the way, is a very quick way to win rapport amongst a lot of people, you know? Don't take everything too seriously, right? But anyway, I enjoyed this more than I thought I was going to. Thanks for your time today, guys. It's 9:54, and let's, any questions? Fiverr can help for sample videos. Okay, I like that. Okay, cool. I will send everything to Kristen and she will send them out to everyone. And by the way, like if you ever have specific questions about marketing or something or anything, and Kim, I don't want to forget about you as far as
I think you could do a whole class on marketing.